Hi, my name is Manuka, and today I'll be continuing the conversation that I started the other day with regards to my financial planning during this time of pandemic. And I wanted to invite you guys into my thoughts, and hopefully you will also be assessing a number of things in terms of your finances. And today I will be speaking specifically about budgeting as well as emergency savings. So, yesterday I ran a poll on my Twitter account asking people if they had thought about what the impact of the coronavirus will be on their finances. And 20% of my respondents said yes, and 80% said no. I also got a lot of questions from people asking why this is actually important for them. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I just want to highlight a few possibilities that could happen. It's not to say it must happen, but we hope for the best, but expect and plan for the worst. So, if you are an employee and your employer struggles over the next few months financially as a result of everything that's happening globally, there is the possibility of your employer not paying your salary on time or not paying your salary at all. And if you know anything about debit orders, they don't care what happened or who didn't pay you what. Your debit orders go off like clockwork. It's the one thing that you can trust. So how would you cope with that? And there's possibility of us not getting bonuses this year due to performance. There is the possibility that your employer ultimately retrenches or closes down shop because of financial difficulty. What I would like you to keep in mind is that this can happen to anyone. Please don't think if you work for a large firm, a multinational, it does not matter who you work for. So I want everyone to proceed with caution. Nobody is immune to things of this nature. It can happen to me, it can happen to you. It is happening to multiple people already. There are already businesses that have shut down as a result, and their employees then will not have stable income in the short to medium term. If you're a business, there are certain businesses that cannot run remotely. An easy example is if you are in construction and you build houses, you can't build a house from home. So during this lockdown, you will not be able to do certain types of business. There are other businesses that can run remotely or digitally, but there are also a lot of people who are already saying, as a result of the economy and what is happening, that a lot of events and work have been cancelled, therefore putting constraints on our finances. There is the possibility that you don't have sufficient cash flows as a result of all this, but you still need to pay your debt as they become due. There's the possibility of payment holidays. Now, I see some banks saying they will give holidays for their small business owners to basically you won't have to repay your loans and debts for 3 months. But I saw one of the conditions is you'll still pay interest, or you'll still be incurring interest. So you'll actually walk out of this owing more than you owed before. So that's something also that you would need to proceed with caution. So all that will inevitably put strain on your finances. So now I will jump into the 2 assessments that I did for myself. So the first one was my budget. So a budget is your plan on how you're going to spend your money. My budget is not the same as your budget, is not the same as Patrice, the Oppenheimers, all these people. So your budget must be tailored for you. What I did is I looked for easy wins in terms of where I can cut down spending because I know that I'm going to need the money, and I'll tell you what I need the money for. But I looked at what this lockdown means for my finances. It means I will not have to drive to work anymore. It means that I won't be spending money on coffees and canteen food, and I will not be going to Gemelli, oh my gosh, for pasta and whatever else. So these are all easy wins in terms of my spending. I can see a lot of opportunities there to cut down spending. There are also a number of other areas that you could consider: your gym membership, your subscriptions, DSTV, mentioned a few. The list is exhaustive. You could shop less now that we are indoors. Don't order stuff online. Hey, don't like import things. You'll not be dining out. You have the option to get less takeaways. All of these things are things that could save you money, but by all means, if you need to save that money, find ways within your budget, review all your expenses, and find areas where you can cut down. What are the costs that you can cut down on so that you have extra money at the end of the month? So my challenge to you is, please review your budget and see what expenditure you can cut down on. Easy wins, difficult wins. I was able to come up with a minimum of 20% that I'll be able to spare because of the cuts that I'm going to make. So I challenge you all to do that. Now, why was I freeing up all this extra money? I want to invest slightly more in the upcoming months, but also I want to consider my emergency savings. Now, let's talk about emergency savings. A recent survey showed that 30% of respondents had emergency savings in place, but only 19% of those people said they would be okay for 3 months in the event of job loss. That is a very worrying stat, because it brings the question, then what about the other 81% of us? If we lost our jobs today, would we be okay to survive for a minimum of 3 months? The recommendation used to be to have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in emergency savings. I think where we are, there is room to be more cautious than that, but that is based on your circumstances as well. For example, are you employed? Are you new at the company that you work for? Are you self-employed? Are you married? Is your spouse employed, running their own business? All of these things will inevitably increase or decrease your risk, and therefore impact how much worth of emergency savings you should have. Now, an emergency savings account is important because you need this to be a buffer against getting into more debt. So in ordinary situations, this account is something that you use when your geyser bursts, or you've got all your tires have gone flat and you need all new tires. So things that you couldn't have anticipated, but once you've spent the money, you then have to work towards replenishing it again. So not money that you use frivolously, because you are going to need to replenish and get it back to the position that it was in before. So my challenge to you is for you to go and check how many months worth of emergency savings do you have in place. If you have no emergency savings, that's okay. All the extra money that you're going to save from the budgeting exercise, you are going to then put into your emergency savings. So month by month, if you're cutting down your expenditure, you will be able to build up your emergency savings over the next period. Do not despair, do not panic. Every single savings account was started on 0.00. So you just need to be diligent and work towards this, and you will be okay and you will get there. The last point is where to keep your emergency savings. So the money needs to be accessible fairly quickly, and you don't put it in volatile markets. So ordinarily, it's money that you have sitting in the bank, in a fixed deposit, in your bond account. That's personally where I keep my money. Anywhere where you can access it in a maximum of 30 days and it's not subject to volatility. So, for example, you shouldn't put your emergency savings in the stock market, because if you'd put it in a month ago, let's say, for example, if you'd put in 10,000 a month ago, that might be worth 5,000 today, and you've, in the event that you need it tomorrow, it has lost value. So it needs to sit somewhere safe and easily accessible. So let's recap. The two challenges that I've asked you to look at is number one, your budget. What are the easy wins and expenditure that you can cut down on in the next few weeks and months as a result of, number one, the lockdown, trying to plan better and have more emergency savings. Number two, check how many months emergency savings you have that is accessible, and work towards building that with the extra money that you hopefully have a bit of expenditure to be able to increase your emergency savings. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys, and I hope that the process is fruitful for you as it was for me. Please let me know how things going with your budget, emergency savings. Do you have 3 months? Do you have 6 months? One of the ladies in my comments yesterday said she had 14 months. I told her she's a superstar, but she sounded like she was panicking, but definitely sounds like one of the people who have prepared very well. But if we haven't, now is the time to get it right. So until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye.